Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored Never Boring. With Halloween just around the corner, I'm in a spooky mood. So today, I'm going to talk about Tower of the Lich Empress. This is part of the Epic Encounters series of role-playing accessories from Steamforged Games, a range of Games Master tools that I often see in web stores and high street game stores, but which I only occasionally see people talking about or reviewing. For those of you who don't know, Steamforged Games is the company behind board games like Dark Souls, Resident Evil, and the forthcoming Elden Ring, which launches on Kickstarter in November. Personally, I love their Dark Souls game. It's a top 10 game for me, and I also really enjoy God tier, although not quite enough to grant it a place in my top 50 games of all time list, which I posted on the channel recently. But that, I guess, is neither here nor there. The main point is, Steamforged Games, which most people probably know for their board games, has slowly and steadily been adding to this series of epic encounters, a pretty extensive and still growing collection of adventure packs for the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons. The idea is that each pack provides a dungeon master with the miniatures, maps, rules, stats and advice to run engaging encounters with various monsters. Each pack focuses on a specific monster or region, such as swamp goblins, tundra orcs or the undead, and there are 2 packs for each of those themes. You have a minion pack, which contains miniatures representing the hordes your heroes must battle through on whatever grand quest they have undertaken, and then you have the boss pack, which contains an oversized miniature your heroes must face in the final confrontation. The Tower of the Lich Empress is obviously the boss pack for the undead theme, and the associated minion pack, which I don't have, includes skeleton soldiers and other bone constructs. And the reason I have this pack in my possession is because I was in a local game store, and I mean game with a capital G, as in the UK high street video game retailer Game. Hurts my head every time I try to explain that. And they had a sale on for their small selection of board games and role-playing games. This Lich pack was marked up at £15, and for an oversized plastic miniature and various other accessories, it seemed worth picking up. I can always find a use for a Lich. So as you can see, these packs are beautifully presented and have been designed to really pop on a retail shelf. You get a wonderful illustration and then the branding in a retro neon pink with spot gloss. Looks absolutely lovely, and I would give the graphic designer a raise. On the reverse of the box you get a picture of the bigature, some fluff to set the scene for this epic encounter, and a list of the components. 1 miniature, 12 tokens, a double-sided game mat, and an adventure book containing monster stats, rules, gameplay ideas, and tips for dungeon masters. Note that the box indicates you will need your own dice, characters, and role-playing rules. It also makes a point that the pack is intended for use with the 5th edition of D&D. All the stats and rules are geared to that system. But obviously, there's nothing stopping you from using these miniatures, maps, and all of the narrative ideas and gameplay advice in any role-playing game of your choice. When you remove the lid, you are presented with the paper mat, then the rules booklet, then a punch board of minion tokens, and finally the miniature, which is floating inside this plastic insert. By the way, that little recess there is to hold the tokens after you pop them out of the board. It's a nice touch, but I'm not sure anyone would leave this stuff stored in the box that way. Anyway, check out this miniature. It comes in 6 pieces and is push fit with removable elements. You get the Lich Empress herself, cast in a bone colour, and I think this is just a really lovely miniature. Really nice details and some quite intricate design around the hands and on her robes. The second part you get is the huge base with all the spikes and whatnot. This measures 100mm across, and the Empress just pushes straight into the recess on the top. There are 4 other indentations in the base, and that's where the magical flaming skulls go. These are super cool. I love the expression the sculptor gave the skulls. And what I really like is that although there are spaces for them on the base of the miniature, you can pop them off and use them as minions in their own right. In a previous game I ran, I needed a floating fiery skull, and I didn't have one in my collection. Now I have 4. So these just pop into place. It doesn't matter which indentation they go in, they're all the same. Overall, I think this is a really nice piece. Well sculpted, nicely tooled to go together without glue, and with some versatile little skulls. Assembled at the centre of your table, it's going to look suitably impressive, and should give your heroes the idea they are in for a tough time. Of course, this is supposed to be a boss you meet after battling the undead, and works in conjunction with the Epic Encounters set, Arena of the Undead Horde. But if you don't have that set, this pack does still give you a way to represent the undead legions at the Empress's command in the form of tokens. This token sheet is pretty good quality and includes 6 skeleton archers, 3 skeleton duelists, 2 death riders and 1 underbatter. The Lich may summon some of these creatures to assist her in your final showdown, so it's nice to have some way to represent them if you don't have the arena pack already. Speaking of arenas, you get a double-sided paper mat. Again, this is really good quality. I mean, as good as you can expect for a paper mat really. It has a satin finish and represents 2 different layouts for the tower where the Lich draws her power. It measures approximately 60 centimeters by 42 centimeters, so while it isn't huge, it's big enough for a proper battle and it has a 1-inch grid printed on it. That's all excellent and probably represents decent value for the £15 I spent. But you also get the rules. This is a 40-page saddle-stitched booklet, absolutely packed with content. If you're a new dungeon master who wants some great tips on how to create a really cinematic finale to a campaign, or even an established player who just wants some fresh new ideas to tinker with, I think there will be something in this booklet that's interesting. I'll skip through the content quickly so you can see exactly how it's all laid out and what you're getting. First of all, you get the introduction, which explains that it's possible to use this encounter at 3 different tiers of play. For heroes of level 1 to 4, there are rules for a Lich Baroness. For heroes of level 5 to 10, there are rules for a Lich Queen, and then for heroes in excess of level 10, you have rules for the Lich Empress. You then get pages of lore you could draw on to create the history of your powerful Lich, and a selection of story hooks you could use or draw inspiration from as you create the story that leads your heroes into this conflict. Next, you have a section with ideas for what might be in the Lich's tower, along with tactics you can use when you are controlling the Lich in a fight. This leads directly to a section on ideas for special reliquaries, and then sections on 3 different special areas presented on the included maps: the library, the cages, and the sarcophagus. There are tips on how to handle different ways in which the heroes may approach the encounter, whether they try to sneak in or make a frontal attack for example, and then a suggested attack pattern you could follow with little tips on how to use each of the Lich's power to dramatic effect and to keep heroes on their toes. Then there are 2 pages of suggested abilities your Lich may have, and another page of abilities that represent how the Lich keys into the power of her surroundings. You also get some suggestions for interesting cinematic moments that you could throw into the encounter to make it awe-inspiring and memorable. Then there is a small section on rewards for killing the Lich, followed by all of the stats and rules for the skeleton archers, the duelists, the death riders, the underbatter, the Lich Baroness, the Lich Queen, and the Lich Empress. And that's your lot, apart from credits, licensing details, and some promos for other encounter products. And I have to say, I think that's a pretty decent box of goodies. Or, I guess, baddies. It's a really good miniature, some helpful accessories, and a booklet with a lot of fun ideas to explore. I certainly see a lot to like here, and I feel I definitely got my money's worth at £15 and would have been happy even if I'd spent a little more than that. But I did look up the recommended retail price for this pack on the Steamforged Games website, and it was listed at £44.99. I'm going to have to draw a line in the sand there. Yes, I think this is a really solid product, beautifully presented and with plenty of content. But £45? No, I would say that's too much. Way too much. Even at around £30, which is what a lot of online stores are asking, I would say they were pushing it. But value is in the eye of the beholder, so maybe you have a different opinion. Let me know in the comments, because that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.